Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 264 of the Drunk Dashers podcast. I'm your host, as always, I'm Tyler. And joining me, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Tyler. I am doing fantastic, man. The past week's been pretty busy. Last Saturday was amazing in terms of vacationing stuff, pretty much. For those that were listening to last week, yeah, I did. I was partially responsible for, us recording a bit early. Because I went on a pirate cruise, the Emerald City Pirates.
Nice.
The public cruise, it was a party boat. It was pretty fucking hilarious, honestly. Just seeing all the people just drink, have fun, just limboing and stuff. But it was kind of funny because we all picked our pirate names too. I decided to... I couldn't think of a name, so I just wrote down Rogue Gables. And it kind of stuck with me, you know. I still have the sticker for that stupid party boat, but some of my friends just kind of like jerks about it. Like one of them was just like see more butts, which led to a hilarious thing with one of my other friends because she looked at it from across the boat. It's like, oh my god, does that say semen butts? Like, oh my god. And so that led to an awkward conversation. But no, there was that. There was another one of my friends that went by AJ Copperbottom, which is an in-joke for my workplace.
It's all name. It's like a name you would get when you join WWE.
Yeah, I know, right? And it led to my friend and I just kind of messaging our other friend at our workplace where it's like, hey, we kind of found your pirate name, you know, Lolly Roger. It led to this whole fucking conversation between him and I and stuff like that, where it's like, oh, yeah, blah, 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 and so forth. It's like, you know how, the term lolly means, the anime girls are kind of, underage and all this other shit?
I didn't know that. I learned something new on this podcast.
Well, that's just the thing, though. We poke fun at him because he loves, the anime, girls stuff and this, that, you know. He's not, a bad guy or anything, but he just likes cutesy girl animes and stuff like that, so...
Nothing wrong with that.
We just bust his chops at work. It's like, oh, hey, there she blows. There goes Lolly Roger. And he just gives us this death glare. Seriously, guy. But other than that, I would love to share just one brief little thing. As far as the pirate ride goes, we saw something pretty funny. Now, while we were sailing a pond, just having a fun time, we noticed these group of guys, there's just about 8 of them. They had jerry-rigged a hot tub. I don't know how they got it to run, but they jerry-rigged a hot tub, and they were floating across Lake Union in Seattle. That was funny as shit. All of them are topless, they're just having a good time, have their drinks in hand and stuff, but it was made even more awesome after a few minutes later, you see a police boat chasing after them. And everybody on the boat's like, oh, they're just laughing their asses off. It's like, yep, a bunch of college frat kids having fun in the ocean. But other than that, though, I mean, I've been doing pretty fucking good, Tyler. How about you?
Doing okay. Nothing too exciting going on. Recovered from my golf outing last weekend. Sorry about last week. I was extremely exhausted after a long day of work, and then directly going to that, and also a lot of drinking in there, and then coming down from the drinking made Tyler very tired, hence the name of the podcast, Tired Tyler. There's some ups this week, there's some downs. Brooklyn Nine-Nine got canceled, and then a few days later it got renewed, so fuck yeah, excited. It was very depressing when that happened. I love that. It's probably my favorite show on television besides Game of Thrones. Actually, yeah, besides Game of Thrones, but it's close. Okay. It's close second. It's a hilarious show. Everybody should just watch it. If you have Hulu, just go watch it. It's a great show. So that was great. It's been the peak moment. I was gonna go see Infinity War on Friday. I was supposed to get out of work early. Yeah. Because I had too many hours, but I still had to come on Saturday. Doesn't make any sense, but whatever. But then people called in, so then I wasn't able to go. So trying to it's tough trying to be on social media like Twitter. I love being on Twitter and fucking reading about shit, especially this week with all the news for video gaming. But it's been tough the last couple weeks because it's like a fucking minefield for Avengers Infinity War spoilers. So I'm unfortunately starting to piece some things together about how it
Oh,
goes.
no.
And
Oh, that's the worst, dude. Don't
yeah,
do that.
yeah, I know. I'm trying to avoid it. Anytime I see a screenshot or I even see anything to do with a Marvel character or anything to do with Marvel, quickly scroll. Yeah, it's been rough the last couple weeks. So just trying to find time to do that. So I'm gonna try to go again sometime this week. But yeah, no, I'm doing okay. It's been kind of it's getting nicer outside, so that's always nice. So it's not, you're not stuck in the house all the time. So it's great being able to go outside. I don't have to wear a hoodie anymore. I don't have to start my car up anymore. I can actually drive around with the windows down, which is great. I love that. I wore shorts the other day. It was amazing. These are small victories here in Iowa, okay, guys? We have we don't have a lot of things to be excited about around here, okay? So wearing shorts after 8 months of being stuck in your house is awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. So like I said, not all that going on with me, but there's been a lot of shit going on with gaming, like I was just talking about.
Oh yeah.
So we're probably not going to talk about what we've been playing. Not really. We haven't really been. We talked about it before the show. We haven't really. Not like really we need to jump into right away. I don't feel like, or anything we've delved enough into to really fully have a discussion about. So if we have time, we'll touch on those things. But I don't. With the amount of news we have here, we have I think 11 different news topics. So don't expect us to get to that. So I think we should just jump on into it because we got a lot to talk about.
Okay.
So first off, we got a lot of Nintendo news, a lot of info from them and some rumors. There's some E3 rumors, and then there's some miscellaneous stuff. We're gonna tack them all in orders. We're gonna start Nintendo stuff first, and I think the first thing we should probably talk about is 1 second. Sorry, had a burp. Nope, there it is. Yep. All right, now I'm good.
Sloppy seconds.
Yeah. That's the grossest thing you've ever said to me. You said some pretty gross things, Gables. Jesus Christ. So anyways, Nintendo, that's something I'm never gonna forget now. Nintendo gave us some details on the Nintendo services. I think it's Nintendo Service Online or Nintendo Online Services. I don't really know.
Online services, I would guess.
Yeah,
at this point,
we'll just call it NOS for short, and also because it reminds me of Fast and Furious, which I'm cool with anything that reminds you of Fast and Furious. But anyways, so one thing we already knew is gonna be $20 a year. I think it's like $8 for 3 months or $4 a month. We already knew that. It's releasing in September. They said that before, but some of the things they did announce it will have cloud saving. This is all stuff you have to pay the yearly subscription or pay for to get. Have cloud saving, no say on what your amount is. If you'll be able to transfer it from other switches or how that's going to work. What can't, because it said some games, it didn't say all games, so that's the wording on it was very weird. Voice chat, it's still going to be through the phone app, unfortunately. So it sounds like they're kind of sticking with that and double downing on that. But another thing coming out of it is they announced this Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo Services Online, NES, NSO, or NES, NOS. That's what we're going to call it. So what they'll be doing is at launch of this, there'll be 20 NES games, basically like a Netflix style thing. I don't know. They didn't say if you can download them or if you're just going to be streaming them. They didn't say how it's going to work. But at launch with this Nintendo Online Services, you'll have 20 NES games. They've announced 10. All of these will have online services, so you'll be able to play them. If they're multiplayer, you can play them online against people. You can also do a thing like basically they're calling it pass a controller mode. So kind of like what PS4 has right now, where you can share. You can do game sharing or whatever, where you can watch your friend play the game, and then he can basically through the internet, the power of the internet, let you play the game too, and you can play it for a set amount of time. So it sounds like they're doing the same thing here, where say one of the games that's gonna be there at launch is Legend of Zelda. So a friend of so say Gables and I say I'm playing Legend of Zelda and I get stuck at this boss. So I'm like, Gables, take this over for me. You can take it over and you can play it for me. But I'm assuming we both have to have the online service. They did also announce there will be a family mode or family one that's $35 a year, and it's up to eight accounts. So if you have a bunch of people that play the Switch and you want a discount, you can $5 a piece if you have 7 or 8 friends, or if you got 3 or 4 of you, you can split the cost that way. So if you want to save a few bucks, that's the way to go. It's so cheap though. I don't know why it's. I mean, unless like it's an actual like legit family thing, like you got you and 3 kids or something like that. It's so cheap at this point. I don't know why the hell you would just pay the $20 a year. But the 10 games announced, like I said already: Legend of Zelda, Ice Climbers, Balloon Fight, Soccer, Tennis, Mario Brothers. So the not the Super Mario, but Mario Brothers. They also do have Super Mario Brothers, Dr. Mario, Super Mario Brothers 3, and the original Donkey Kong. Those would be the 10 games. That's kind of all the details, the main stuff that came out of it. Gables, I am curious. You're more of the Nintendo guy than I am, but I am curious to hear your thoughts.
I kind of find it interesting how they would go on with the online features, touting that as a major feature for these NES games that they are releasing, and at the same time kind of releasing a lot of games digitally, which quite frankly would probably be kind of the least likeliest to be appealing for multiplayer mode. I mean, there's some that have hints of them being pretty interesting. I mean, Legend of Zelda is predominantly a single-player game. Yeah. They could add some online elements to it. I mean, let's see. Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario Brothers 3 are no-brainers. Dr. Mario is a no-brainer because of how competitive it can be for, like, it has options where you can do, like, a 2-player mode and stuff. But the other types of games that they announced, I mean, what was it? Ice Climbers, this and that. Okay. Could you just read off, like, the list again?
Yeah.
And just read off the list for me again. I'm trying to hear.
So, Ice Climbers, Zelda, Balloon Fight, Soccer, Tennis, the original Mario Brothers 1 and 3, Dr. Mario, and Donkey Kong.
Okay, out of all those games, there are initially maybe, I would think, about 3 or 4 games that are worthwhile. I would probably say 5 because I like Balloon Fight, in my personal opinion. As far as like, say, the appeal goes, hey, this is definitely a good thing in terms of, like, having some classic games on the eShop for those that want to go through and download them. I mean, games like Super Mario Brothers, Mario 3, Legend of Zelda, Balloon Fight, like, just classics like that are timeless and that anybody can go through and download. I'm kind of interested in knowing the price of them, considering now they've added extra features to it. I mean,
this is all going to be a part of the service.
Okay, so that's all going to be a part of the service, so there's not even any type of, like, inkling to maybe even buying them separately.
No news on that yet.
Okay, so this is just a part of their online service just to begin with.
Yes.
Okay, now that I've understood that, the most appealing option that I see there for their packaging right here is that whole family thing where it's like $35 across 8 multiple accounts. That's going to be an interesting feature come down the line, especially if rumors are, like, correct and in saying they're going to release a, like, remodeled sort of Switch console maybe the next year or two. But honestly, other than, like, the online modes and stuff, this is kind of bare bones.
Yeah.
Especially from Nintendo. Why? Because even if they go through and, like, have just online play and then just have some NES games here or there is still a lot to be desired from this service. I mean, let's see. They said they were going to add, like, 10 more NES games or something to this thing. Like, then now some little bits here and there up until, like, September, I think, is their launch of this.
Sometime in that month, yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty much my initial thoughts of it. I mean, it's kind of bare bones. I like the element of there being NES games, but I would have much rather had it be in a way where it's just individual so I can just buy and re-download, even though I've done it, like, 2 or 3 different times. Or hell, even have the element of transferring my Wii U Virtual Console games to Switch. I mean, it's not that hard. It's definitely not that hard. But
we'll get to that one next, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm with you on it. When it first was announced, I'm like, all right, it's $20, not a big deal. But then, like, the more I just kind of thought about it, like I said, I agree with you. It's very bare bones. It's kind of like seems like the minimum amount of things they can do to make it worth $20, especially since we've already in September when this launches, playing online for free on the Switch would be around for a year and a half.
There was one thing that I did like about it, and that's the backup cloud saving option for games, for digital games.
Yeah,
that's a good feature to have.
That's something that should have been there at launch with having at least an external hard drive or saving them on saving them on the SD cards that we bought for those things.
Agreed.
Because we need them now, since every fucking game comes out for it. It's 23 gigs now, or at least the third party shit. So I'm happy they have an option now. I'm fine with it being a thing that's behind a paywall. That shit's not cheap. I get that. PlayStation charges for it. Xbox doesn't, but they have the Microsoft with it, so I imagine that's part of the deal already. But PlayStation, Xbox already have multiple different options for you to do it for free yourself. So I'm happy there's an option though. Like Brian Altano talked about a few months ago. He had to send his or he lost his Switch or something like that, and or he had to send in to get repaired. I can't remember what the story was, but basically when he got it back, the saves were gone. There's no way he couldn't back them up anywhere. He couldn't put up saves on anything else. So
it sucks.
His 200-hour Breath of the Wild save was gone. He 100%. Yeah. So that's cool. That's gonna be an option. I'm fine. I like that idea because that is, I love the fact that like my PS4, every time I play a game, it automatically updates it in the cloud for me. I have set up that option. So my PS4 does break, my Madden 18 career mode that I have 200 hours in, or probably more at this point, will still be there. If I have to get a new Pro or something. Voice chat, double downing on the phone app. I hope they do some more expansions. I actually so I got an iPhone 8 last month, and my iPhone 6 was a piece of shit and was barely chugging along. Had a handful of apps on it like Twitter, Facebook, like the bare minimum shit. I just kind of need the stuff I use. I had like 5 or 6 main things, and the thing barely worked. So I deleted the Nintendo app, and I haven't had it on my phone for I don't know, probably 8-9 months since around Splatoon 2 came out, and I deleted it shortly after. And I re-downloaded it, and nothing's changed. It's exactly the same app. They haven't added anything to it in that time. It's just the only game on there is still Splatoon 2 for voice chat. So I hope they do they're going to force us to use this. Make it, add to it. Make it, I can buy stuff on the store through there, or I can kind of like the PlayStation and Xbox app. Make it more social.
Or at least make it like it's so that we can actually download the app on the fucking Switch so we can actually use it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Have a better interface. I mean, that would be great.
Yeah, like Discord and Xbox just hooked up, so now you can use Discord on your Xbox. Do something like that.
That's a good feature.
But I mean, if they're going to force us to use this, I just think they should put some more effort into that app because it's a fucking embarrassment and a joke. You want to talk about bare bones? That thing is bare bones. Yep. The Netflix style thing, I said it a while ago, and I still stick with it. Like when I first heard about it, with the 20 NES games, I'm like, cool, that's awesome. Like, but then I found out it's called the NES. It's like Nintendo Online Services or Nintendo NES something. But basically, it sounds like it's just the title of it makes it sound like the only thing you're gonna be able to get on this Netflix style thing is NES games.
That kind of makes me wonder then.
Yeah, so people talk about, is there gonna be like different options? Like you get Hulu and it's like it's $7 a month. If you want no commercials, it's $12 a month. If you want to add HBO, it's $10 a month. Like you add different kind of things to it. Like, hey, we'll do Super Nintendo games for additional $5 a year or $10 a year, or GameCube games for like an extra $5, whatever. Which I'd be fine with. If it comes out, I'm paying $35 a month or $30 a month to get like Super Nintendo and GameCube games on that thing. That's fine. But just looking at what we got here, it's fine. Having the online thing is kind of cool, and the patch to the controller thing sounds like the most cool thing to me. But I thought the game sharing thing that PS4 did when they first announced the PS4, I'm like, that sounds fucking awesome. And it's been around for 5 years, and I've never even used it. I don't even know how the hell I use it. I don't even know how I turn it on. I'm like, that's just like something I would use all the time. I used to love sitting there with my friends and watch my friend play games, or we'd take turns passing the controller back and forth. It sounds fantastic. Never use it. So, and I don't feel like I'm going to use it here. I mean, I'm sure some people will use it, and it sounds kind of cool, especially for the nostalgia of it. I feel like maybe that's something I can use one time, especially playing like Super Mario Bros. 3 or something like that. Like Justin and I, or Gables and I, or something. Like we'll play 2-player with that. That'd be fun to do.
That would be funny.
Yeah, but I feel like that's something I'm gonna use once or twice. All these games like Zelda, I bought that game on the Wii. I bought that on the Wii U.
I have it on the 3DS.
It's on the 3DS. I mean, like all these things I've played a million times. Before that, still, if you have an NES Classic, I feel like for the hardcore fans, this is something that's like, whatever. I mean, it's exciting. It's cool to have it on the portable, but at the same time, it's like you already own this shit like 20 times.
No shit.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not blown away by this. The only thing that's the saving grace of this thing is the price point, $20 a year, and it's something I've said since they announced the price of this about a year ago. Was that I'm like, for being a gamer is a very expensive hobby. Yeah. And if we're gonna bitch about spending $20 a year, then I mean we shouldn't be gaming. Or you're not really I don't know how to phrase it better than that, but it's the game for $60. I pay $60 a year for my Xbox Live account for gold account. And I've turned my Xbox on to play Cuphead in the last almost 2 years. So, I barely play online for PS4, maybe once or twice a month. I maybe play one or two of the PlayStation Plus games every year, and I'm totally fine with the services. Paying $60 a year for it. So if I'm gonna bitch about paying $20 a year for this, then I mean it's stupid. It's a really stupid thing. Like, it'd be really hypocritical of me to bitch about that. So I don't know. It feels like it's whatever. If this was like any more than $20 a year, then I'm like, all right, I would stop and think about it. Since I haven't played I don't know what Splatoon. I imagine the Splatoon 2 market like online is still going pretty well.
Yeah.
But it's just like they're trying, like the way they were like phrase it is like, hey, you can play great games online now with Nintendo Online services like Splatoon 2 and Mario Kart, and it's just like, wow, we've been playing these games for free online for a year already, more than a year. So it's not really a good thing. Hey, remember this thing? This thing you've been doing for over a year now? Now you gotta pay for it. So
that's always a kick in the pants.
Yeah. So if they would have, like I said a couple weeks ago, if they would have came out with this at launch, and we had to pay $20 a year, and it was just the online services, it'd be whatever. But now a year and a half in, you have to give us more than just that, and this is what they're giving us, and it's fine. I'm curious to see what more they add and more details comes out. I'm sure I don't think we'll hear anything about it. I feel like this is the bad news. They got to get out of the way before they get to like E3,
this
kind of thing.
The feel of it.
Yeah, it's like, all right, we got some better stuff coming, but we know if we announce this with all the cool shit, like this is gonna kind of put a damper on some of that cool shit we're gonna show off. So let's get this shit out of the way. We'll take the hits now, but in a month at E3, we're gonna fucking knock it out of the park. That's what it feels like to me. So I guess we'll see. But speaking of, we were talking about, you kind of touched on it earlier, but the Kotaku asked Nintendo about Virtual Console, and Nintendo said as of right now there are no plans for Virtual Console to come to Switch.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like when you're hoping to bring your games over to the Switch from the Wii U, like you did from the Wii to the Wii U. This sounds like basically this is their out for not making you buy those games again. Because when I first heard it, I'm like, okay, so maybe the Nintendo the little Netflix style thing is just going to be the thing that they do. Like that's just like all the games are going to be on there for streaming, maybe, or downloading. Who knows? Who knows if you can actually buy them. Basically, my thought was just copy Xbox Live, the Game Pass thing, where it's like, hey, you guys like these games, you can download them onto your console, and if you want to keep them, you can buy them. So I was like, okay, I mean, like whatever, but so maybe that still is gonna be a thing, but the Virtual Console with that going away, that gives me hope that that's what's gonna happen. But kind of listening to people on Twitter, sounds like basically this is the way, like the Virtual Console, the name itself is like a brand. Yep. It's like Xbox, the name is a brand. PlayStation, the name is a brand. This sounds like it's just like, okay, that brand, we're just going to change it. It's no longer Virtual Console. It's going to be like kind of like a Neo Geo games, or like the Nintendo arcade classics are on the eShop right now. It's just going to be like, all right, now we're just going to release them. They're just going to be part of the eShop now. Or maybe they'll separate it, but it's going to be called something else. But this feels like we're just going to get away from that because people have been bitching about rebuying things on the Virtual Console forever. Now we're going to make you repay for it, but we're just going to call it something else or not call it anything at all. What are your thoughts about kind of Virtual Console going away?
Well, you know what? I know a lot of people are very negative about the fact that Virtual Console is not coming to the Switch, but at the same time, there are a lot of positives to this, and there's a reason why the Nintendo, not until right now, have not actually had a lot of their old classic games like playable on the Switch. Because look at it this way, look at how successful a lot of the indie games have been released on Switch.
Oh yeah.
And they being a focal point upon like what Nintendo's major success for the Switch has been. Because think of it this way: this is like the place where all the indies go now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the Vita. It's not Steam. The Switch is the new hotness in terms of
it
like
killed the Vita.
Well, the Vita was already on live support
Yeah,
as it is.
but what it had was great indie games, and now all the indie games are like, well, we'll go with the thing people are actually playing now.
Yeah, so quintessentially, it just knocked the crutch out of the Vita's hand and stuff, and let it spiral into a downwards well. But anyway, I just went to a dark place. Anyway, in terms of the Virtual Console stuff, I mean, yeah, you know what? I was a little bit sad about it too. But at the focal point of it, let's look at what it was. The Virtual Console, in and of itself, was a collection of emulated ports that, inside some of the ROM files, especially for the Wii, were actual like ROMs that were pretty much borrowed from like the internet.
Yeah.
Quintessentially, that we were made to pay for back around the mid 2000s. But at least with what Nintendo is doing right now, they are adding more features to them in terms of like, say, classic games like the NES stuff for their service that they're doing. So if they do release, and I know they're going to release more classic games eventually on that Switch, they are more than likely, like you were just saying, Tyler, going to be a part of some subscription service, either by console, either by game like types or whatever. But it's just like one of these loopholes around the fact that they don't want to have everybody all of a sudden have a lot of their digital content that they've bought previously just for the sake of, oh, hey, let's have them subscribe to a service, you know? Let's make some more money on top of this. But, yeah, I'm just kind of indifferent about it at this point.
Yeah, that's depending on where they go with it. Will be like right now. It's like, okay, whatever. I agree with you on that. I'm just kind of. It's all gonna be based off what happens in the future with it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I'm hopeful. You know, I hope that means we're still getting those classic games. I hope I can actually pay for them, and they don't charge me fucking arm and a leg for them. But yeah, I guess we'll be a wait and see kind of thing for that. See kind of the future of what that could be. But more Nintendo news. So this isn't like I don't think this is like officially announced. I can't tell if this is like Nintendo has announced this or if it's just a rumor. But right now, so I guess on June 9th, Nintendo is going to be announcing some huge news. That's their words, huge news, or somebody's words. I'm not sure. About Splatoon 2, and the rumor is Battle Royale mode.
Really?
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess I think this kind of like I already sold my copy of Splatoon 2, but this could actually like depending on like what it is, you know, how it works, and kind of I think it'd be a wait and see kind of thing. But this is real. I would actually be interested, and I just want to like play it and check it out, see how it works if it's real. Like I don't know what else they can do. Like I know they have like the single player DLC coming sometime here soon, but like is this gonna be like they gonna have like an actual is it a map pack? Is it gonna be like map pack wouldn't intrigue me all. More game types wouldn't intrigue me. Getting rid of the map rotation thing would kind of intrigue me, especially as they've added a bunch of shit since the game came out. But a battle royale mode, like I'm just trying to figure out how that works because there's no way they can do 100 characters because I think right now they do 8 on a map, 8 in a game. Even if it's like they have some sort of mode like that, and it's like they can get 32 players. And how would the ink work? You know, would everybody have different colors? Like, is it teams? Is it 16v16 or like what are the maps gonna look like? Like this, I'm just trying to picture it in my head and figure out how it would work is really exciting to me. Like I feel like it's one of those things where like I've talked about before, like when they announced a Nintendo Direct like 3 days out, you're like he's like that 3 days you just like think about all the possibilities like that has like everything like it could be everything or nothing, and then it's always somewhere in the middle most of the time, and it's just like it doesn't never sometimes it just doesn't live up to the hype. I feel like I'm doing that to myself right now about Splatoon 2, but I don't know, like after getting into Fortnite for a couple weeks there, I'm just like, shit, like Splatoon is a fun game. And I would be curious to see if they try to tackle battle royale mode with Splatoon. What about you?
Honestly, when I think about the potential rumors and like the whole, oh hey, this is a world reveal, this is something that's gonna shake up everything. It's like I'm just kind of wondering how exactly this is going to work if it is a battle royale mode.
Yeah.
It's just like what you were just saying, Tyler. I mean, I could think of it in a way where it could work potentially if it's like separated into different types of like squads, kind of like not like a 16 versus 16, but have it like maybe a 4-team battle royale or something like that, as it were, where it's like we have a group of 4 on each side, and then we just go through and just try to capture specific points, sort of like a control, sort of thing that we've been having previously in past Splatoon games. I could see potentially something like that happening.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much like a huge, grandiose environment. I mean, we got to keep in mind that the limitations of the Switch, it doesn't allow for like 100 players at the same time in order to do stuff like that. There's only so much that Tegra 1 chip can actually perform and do.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of wondering how Nintendo would mix it up in their own way. I mean, I know for a fact that when they do introduce specific types of features or specific types of game types, they try to differentiate itself from a lot of the other games of its type. Like, for example, when you have like action adventure sort of like games like The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and stuff like that, they did it in a way that was sort of familiar to the original style, but implementing a lot of open world elements from past games like Skyrim and this and that, to where it just felt kind of different and unique in its own way. So kind of imagining Splatoon 2 having a Fortnite, not like a Fortnite, but have like a Battle Royale style mode, but having little things that are going to be quirky and just independently to that game is kind of like the most exciting thing to think of.
Yeah, the Nintendo spin is what could be really cool about it.
Yes, it's that individuality and that personality is what's attracting me to, stay tuned pretty much closely to what news comes out from that. Because I'm the person who has not even played Splatoon 2 yet, but this could persuade me to not only buy it, but actually play it consistently if it's something interesting and something unique that I would personally be excited for.
Yeah, so guys, it's like I said, I'm not sure if this is like an official thing or if this is a rumor as far as like them actually having an announcement on June 9th. But yeah, I think it is something that's actually happening. But yeah, I mean, like, I can't really think of anything that's like, if they're saying it's huge news, then I can't think of anything like it's either something we haven't thought of or it's Battle Royale mode. I mean, anything else would be, I think, a disappointment. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. We got a few weeks to go. What?
Yeah, watch what they do. They'll allow like 4 switches to actually have like about maybe 64 different people.
Oh, dude, yeah, okay.
That would be kind of funny.
They make that work. I'm in. I would definitely want to check that out. That sounds like fun. But I think our last Nintendo topic for the week is Monster Hunter. It's coming to the Switch. So
interesting.
Capcom announced that a Monster Hunter game will be coming to the Switch on August 28th. It is an updated version of a 3DS game. It's going to be called Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. I think it was just called Monster Hunter Generations on 3DS. It came out a couple of years ago, I want to say.
Yes.
So it's basically like their definitive edition. They're adding a bunch of like monsters to it. I think some other things too as well. I'm not a Monster Hunter guy, so I don't really. I was reading a thing about it and I'm watching a thing about it, and I don't understand it. So,
it's pretty complex, Tyler.
Yes, that's all I've heard about Monster Hunter is how tough it is to get into. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that's pretty exciting, especially after Monster Hunter World kind of took the world by storm there when it came out last January for PS4 and Xbox One. So I guess strike while the iron's hot. Like, hey, here's a Monster Hunter game. We're not gonna get you the world. We're not gonna port that. We're gonna give you the closest thing we can, and that's an up-res version of a 3DS game. So I mean, it doesn't do anything for me. I don't know if it does anything for you, Gables.
Well, you know what? It really doesn't do too much for me right at the moment, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't have too much to say about it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I threw it in. Came out 2016, by the way. The 3DS game. I have it right here in front of me. I don't know why I didn't read that. Yeah, but I know something that will do it for you, Gables.
And what's that?
Is a game called Bloodstained.
Yes.
So Iga, who is known for the creation of Castlevania, a couple
Not
years.
just Castlevania, but like he wasn't the one that created Castlevania, but he was the one that was responsible for becoming like producer or something like that of the series of Castlevania back around the late 90s. He was the one responsible for creating games like Castlevania Symphony of the Night and other Castlevanias onwards up until Lords of Shadow.
Okay, so kind of really, I mean, so like a lot of people probably the peak years for Castlevania. So
yeah, it was.
Okay, but so they had a Kickstarter a couple years ago. And one of their stretch goals was that if they hit it, I can't remember what the number was, they would make a prequel game for it. The Bloodstained is set to come out sometime this year. I guess it sounds like we'll hear something about it at E3. But so coming out of it was Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is getting its own 8-bit style companion piece. It's made by NT Creates, the retro platformer specialist. Promised a smaller prequel game as a stretch goal during the Kickstarter campaign, and now the studio has announced the first details. It will be called Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, and it's coming May 24th. That's fucking soon.
2 weeks away.
Yep, I think that was next Thursday. It will be coming to Steam, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, 3DS, Vita. Oh, fuck Vita. And
the fucking Vita gets the game.
And it's only gonna be $10. I think if you gave like, I think it was like $28 in Kickstarter, you get this for free. You get this not for free. You actually paid 3 times as amount as everybody else will. But you're getting that. Curse of the Moon. I guess some of the details that coming out of it are features 4 playable characters familiar to fans of Castlevania inspirations. Zangetsu, that one, who uses a sword. Miriam with a whip. Alfred the Alchemist and Gable. I'm
gonna say Gable.
We'll go Gable. Gebel. A shapeshifter who can turn into a bat. You start as Zangetsu and gain more allies as you progress, and you can swap between them at a will. The more allies you have, the more versatility in combat, and you can keep progressing through a stage even if you die as long as another character remains. Stages will also have areas that only particular characters can assess. So, Gables, go ahead, buddy. This is all you.
All right. Initially, when I posted this message to Tyler upon Twitter, I was on YouTube this morning. I was just looking around, and I saw a little bit the thing that caught my interest. It was Bloodstained, like Curse of the Moon, I believe it was called. I checked out the trailer. The trailer to this game was like maybe a couple minutes long, but I got to admit, after seeing that, it's convinced me that I want to buy this game day one. Why? Because the look of it, the feel of it, and definitely a lot of the inspirations are tied into classic Castlevania. There are such little details in like the way the animation works in terms of like gameplay. It looks like a cross between Castlevania, Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, Super Castlevania 4 for the SNES. I'm talking about the whole directional whips and all this other stuff. And a lot of the characters that you have access to play, like Zangetsu and like Miriam, Alfred, and Gable, or whatever the hell.
Gable.
Whatever.
If Gables was French, we would pronounce his name Gable.
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 A lot of the characters are modeled after some of the past characters of the Castlevania games. Like Zangetsu looks like more or less like a Simon Belmont style character, whereas like Alfred is more of like, say, God, sort of like a sorcerer. It's sort of like things like, say, how like Sypha was in Castlevania like 3.
I thought Alfred was a butler.
Well, Alfred is a butler too, but that's a different mythos. Anyway, of course, there's Gable, which obviously looks like it's inspired by Alucard from Castlevania 3. But the look of the sprites, it's just amazing. It looks like kind of like how like the sprite work was done for like, say, Shovel Knight in terms of some of the fidelity and some of the crispness of it. It looks like an authentic HD res NES game. That's probably one of the most exciting things I've seen from it. Plus, the game in of itself, the gameplay looks so simple, but it looks so basic that I could actually play through this thing comfortably, considering how often I do play retro games. I mean, hey, that's just my MO at this point. Mm-hmm. But it excited me in a way where it's like, hey, this is like a new fucking NES game released in 2018. I want to play this.
Yeah.
I'm just excited because that's my style of game. I love challenging old school games like Castlevania, like Ninja Gaiden, like Contra to a certain extent. And this kind of scratches that itch where I've been dying to play something of that type for a while now. So it's also interesting that they kept this under wraps, this game, until like 2 weeks out of it launching. That is crazy to me.
Wasn't it just announced like last night or early this morning?
Yeah, it was just announced early this morning. The trailer and everything. And this was supposed to be like a individual piece that was promised to kickstart backers and stuff for Ritual of the Night and stuff. I mean, we don't know about the release date of that yet, which we probably will know probably this June, hopefully, because I'm excited to play that game as well. But, yeah, I do trust a lot of the content that comes from, like, Koji Igarashi, that producer and stuff. They used to work at Konami, did some of the best Castlevania games in the franchise, in my honest opinion. Having this style of game, which, here's a little FYI for you. Koji Igarashi, the man that's responsible for being the lead producer of, like, Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night, and now Curse of the Moon, his main inspiration while trying to create games like Symphony of the Night was Castlevania 3. And you see a lot of that influence inside of, like, Curse of the Moon for Bloodstained. And I think that's fucking awesome. That's in the right direction. Excited, pretty much. So, what do you think, Tyler?
Yeah. I'm happy for people that are excited for Bloodstained and Castlevania games. Like I said, it's much like Monster Hunter, Castlevania's never been my thing. So, yeah, that's cool though. I'm glad they're doing that. You know, $10. I mean, I think that easy access for people to get into it. Builds up hype for Bloodstained, Ritual of the Moon. It comes out, and Ritual of the Night. What are they called? Yeah, Ritual of the Night. Okay, so that's cool though. I am excited for people that are excited. That's my thoughts. So yeah. Anything you want to add? I really don't have anything other than that for that.
No, I'm done.
Okay. Well, Gables, I'm very happy for you. Oh, I'm sorry, Gable. I'm very happy for you. Moving on, though, to our next topic here. So, a game we talked about decent amount over the last about a year now since it was announced last E3. Anthem is the new BioWare IP. We talked about there's a report from Kotaku, from Jason Schreier, dealing with like a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff, a lot of concern about it. And EA, the rumor back then, or according to people he was talking to, saying that EA they finally let him delay it out of 2018 because it was come out this year, but they would let him it would not come out any later than 2019 or March 2019. Sorry. Well, now during a financial call, Blake Jorgensen, Jesus Christ, Jorgensen, anyways, said the game will be shipped in the last quarter of the year and in the last month of the quarter, which in fiscal year, the last quarter of the year is March. The last month of the quarter, in the last quarter of the year is March. So that means in March 2019, we'll be getting Anthem. So it sounds like that rumor was true, or at least the reports were true. So it sounds like it's going to be the next big EA game that they release that's going to be unfinished or broken or not what we want it to be, aka just like Dragon Age 2, Mass Effect Andromeda, SimCity, Dead Space 3, and of course probably the biggest tragedy in the entire history of EA, Unraveled. So,
oh, Tyler cutting deep.
Yeah,
anyway.
So fuck that game. It's a bad game. So, yeah, that's gonna be coming out in March. And my concerns were back then, like, it's a BioWare game. I've always got a soft spot in my heart for BioWare because of Mass Effect, the original trilogy. But kind of the direction it went, that kind of game, the Destiny style kind of game, open world game that's more built for co-op than anything, isn't really my kind of style anymore, or in my style at all. So that's kind of turned away. But then also hearing, the rumors back then, and now being basically confirmed, March 2019. I feel like this game is going to come out. I feel like this is very well could be the beginning of the end of BioWare. So that are my thoughts. Obviously, they can come out and surprise me, and I hope they do. Hope this game's fantastic. Even if it's not my game, my type of game, I hope it comes out and it's fantastic. People love it and it takes off. But after Andromeda, you start to lose a little bit of hope with them, and especially hearing basically how EA is forcing them to get the shit out there. Yeah, I don't know. What about you, Gables?
Honestly, unless I see something otherwise, Anthem does just not interest me at the least. It doesn't help the fact that BioWare has now consistently released a couple of different games since, the past couple of years that I've been having next to no interest in. I mean, Mass Effect Andromeda was the one game and stuff which I thought I would initially want to play, but after subsequent, people playing through it, just, talking shit about it, and, just for the game in and of itself being probably one of the more disappointing things to come out from BioWare in quite some time, I mean, it does not leave me with a lot of confidence to play Anthem. Not in the least. Plus, it also doesn't help matters that we haven't seen much of Anthem since last E3 from the Microsoft showcase.
Yeah.
So there could be something at E3 this year that may persuade me otherwise, but other than that, I am not excited in the least to play that game by EA. They've done enough shit this past couple of years where it's like, I do not trust spending any money on your products. Battlefront 2, Mass Effect Andromeda, I'm at the point where I'm not even confident in buying the next Battlefield if it's rumored to believe it's just a battle royale style game only. I mean, come on.
Well, that's the rumor. It might have the game mode in there, but I think it's gonna be World War II and all that shit. So
yeah.
I don't know. I always, whenever I get hope for BioWare, I just kind of I'm trying to keep it level headed on this, and not let my
It's difficult to do so with EA.
Now.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking about, since EA bought BioWare, they released Dragon Age 2, which was a dud.
Yeah.
Mass Effect 3, which
was controversial. It was a great game, but controversial because of the ending, and people have hated the series because of because of that.
Overall, a really good game, but a lot of problems coming out of it, in the way it was handled in the back, in the aftermath. And then Dragon Age Inquisition, that was mediocre, and then Mass Effect Andromeda. So there's just kind of one mediocre, Mass Effect 3 being a pretty good game, Inquisition a average game, Dragon Age 2 a bad game, and Mass Effect Andromeda a disaster of a game. So it's just, you can kind of see as they go, it's just been going downhill. So I don't know. I'm hopeful, but I don't see it happening. But moving on to we have a Xbox topic. It's been a long time since we had one of those.
Holy shit, we got one.
Yeah, Xbox has turned into what Nintendo was when we first started this podcast. Where the first year and a half, we rarely talked about Nintendo just because there wasn't really a lot to talk about. And now it's but we talk about Xbox and PlayStation all the time. And now it's Xbox barely gets mentioned, obviously because we're both Switch and PS4 guys, but really also because Xbox hasn't really done shit in the last few years.
There's hardly any news upon Microsoft out of their storefronts besides the most obvious stuff.
Outside of Cuphead, nothing interesting's happened with them in the last since really last E3. And Games Pass, that was kind of cool. But so kind of a cool thing that they did is late last year they brought this digital gifting they do for Xbox One games, but it was only select titles. It was mostly first party stuff or stuff they published. But now all games you'll be able to gift. In addition, the Microsoft Store for PC will also offer the same thing, as well as not just games but DLC.
Mm.
So yeah, so that's kind of a cool thing. I think I like the. I mean, I think it's crazy to think that that Switch and the PS4 don't have this already. I feel like this is like a no-brainer. Like it, I don't think it, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm not like a. I don't understand how the how the stores work, and I'm sure it could cost them some money. But I feel like the amount of money it would cost to make this, you'll get back pretty quickly. Um, if I play a game, I'm like, hey, Gables, I want to play the game with you. And it's like, oh, I don't have it. Like, here you go, here's a copy. Or like just like, hey, it's your birthday. Here's a copy of the next, this game that you wanted. Or this game's on sale. Here you go. Like, this is a great game. Check it out. So I can buy Justin a fucking copy of Hyper Light Drifter. Son of a bitch. He needs to play that goddamn game. Gables, you too. I know you own it. Play it.
I know I do. I'm waiting for Switch.
Motherfucker. So what do you think, Gables?
I think this is a fantastic move here by Microsoft. I do like the element that they are expanding the whole gifting function to include every bit of their downloadable games and their DLC, because that's a good move and good faith to consumer base right there. It's kind of the example you were just giving earlier. Hey, if one of your friends doesn't have the game, hey, here's this. Or if it's their birthday, here, let's give you this. It's something that I wish more services would provide, because not everyone is going to be able to afford buying certain games that they can play with their friends or something like that. So it's definitely a great move by Microsoft in the slew of stuff they've done to make themselves more consumer friendly this generation. So I'm just kind of wondering what else they're going to add to their service now, because right now it's like other than the major obvious stuff, if they would have came out day one with a lot of this stuff, I mean, this probably would be a different type of generation, personally. Yeah. But other than that, though, that's pretty much what I got going for it.
No, I would say it's a good point, though. I mean, like we talked about before, like they've been the most consumer friendly over the last couple of years with the backwards compatibility.
Yep.
Game Pass. Now this Games Pass, like all the putting all the first party games on Game Pass. They're doing a lot of really cool stuff. It's still being proven every generation that what it comes down to a lot of times is the games, and they got everything there is in place except for the games.
Except for the exclusives.
Yeah, so that's where they are in a distant third at, which is why they're essentially in a distant third right now.
Yep.
But everything else is doing they're better at PlayStation and I think Nintendo at everything else but the games. But,
yep.
I mean that's always factor number one when it comes to video games and consoles. So yeah, I guess like I said, I think everything should have it. Hope eventually other things do have it. It's a cool thing to have. But moving on to this, there's not really a lot to say for this one. I thought it was just kind of cool to throw it in there.
Okay.
But Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy was announced at the last Direct. It's coming to the Switch on July 10th. It was coming to Xbox One as well on July 10th. Well, in a blog post, Activision actually announced they're moving it up from July 10th to June 29th now. So I guess was that like 11, 12 days early now. It'll be in that game. So I think that's exactly the day that the exclusivity rights for PlayStation ends. So they're just going to get it out right away. And also, I think June 30th is the last day of the financial quarter. So you get a couple days. I mean, it was one of the highest selling games of the summer last year when it came out. So gives you a couple days in June, kind of end off and hot, for Activision and the other consoles. Instead of having, hey, we're still making this thing, so they'll actually have some profits, and it's kind of hey, it's out there 10 days earlier, so it gets it out there for everybody goes traveling 4th of July. So you have a Switch, you can play on the go. What about you, Gables? You picked it up on the PS4, didn't you?
I did pick it up on PS4. I did sell it initially, but I think that this is a good move. Why? It's obviously this is for like investor meeting purposes. It's like to try to get themselves like a strong end of the quarter stuff. The last couple days left of the month. Yeah. But it's a great move by them because it's not only like 12 days early, like you just said, but it also gives them enough breathing room just to earn enough profits from that sales, the initial sales, to not only just have a strong showing for the end of that quarter, but also frees himself up for potential releases, just potential releases and stuff like that going on the rest of the year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of like the idea that Crash Bandicoot's 12 days early. I could pick it up to Switch if I really want to. That's give or take if they fix the controls.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what I got.
All right, cool. So moving on. That's kind of like the last of our miscellaneous topics. Like I said, we're just kind of doing them all in a row here. So pretty much everything else is now like E3 news and rumors. So first off, Square Enix announced they're going to do their an E3 presentation this year. It's going to be on June 11th, which is a Monday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 12 Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. It was their first E3 presentation since 2015. There they did like a trailer for Kingdom Hearts 3. What else did they do? They actually Nier Automata was announced there. We didn't know what it was back then, but they showed off 2B there. And there's a couple other small things of it, but they haven't done one since. But now they're coming back. So then no details what they're going to talk about, but it was kind of remember when Bethesda a few years ago announced they're going to start doing presentations for E3. It was kind of a big deal. I'm like, okay, so what, like those kind of other like Activision doesn't even have one. They're probably the biggest company maybe outside of EA in video games. Like, okay, so what the hell they went out guns blazing. They had Doom, they had Fallout 4, then a bunch, they had a few other things too. I can't remember what they showed off there. But they went out guns blazing. Like a lot of it was Fallout 4. So this makes me think that they got to have something big this year. I know that we already have Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I'm sure we're going to get some gameplay for that. Kingdom Hearts 3 is supposed to be releasing this year. So maybe we'll get a date.
Yeah.
This makes me wonder what else we're going to get. Anything, what do you think we'll get out of this? Are you, I'm not the biggest Square guy, but is there anything out of this that you're excited for and makes you curious what they're going to have?
Well, honestly, I'm more curious about Kingdom Hearts 3. If any if all like information comes out from their conference in regards to that. I mean, for other games, there's going to be something Final Fantasy related announced out there. There's going to be something along the lines of potential DLC possibly for Nier. But other than that, though, I'm really not too sure what else they're going to do. I mean, mum's the word pretty much for Square this year. Yeah. Besides the obvious of, hey, when's Kingdom Hearts 3 going to release finally?
Yeah. 2019. Maybe. Yeah. I think the thing will be dominant. I think the presentation will probably be dominated by Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and then Kingdom Hearts 3. I feel like those will probably be the two big. If this is like an hour, I think those two will take up half of it or more. Yeah. But I feel like we can. I mean, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like,
who knows? It could be almost anything at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it was announced like last year that they were hiring people for it. They moved it to a different studio because the other studio that was making it was a disaster. It sounded like Just Cause 4 has been rumored. They announced that deal last year. Square Enix did with Marvel, where they're making Marvel games. Are we gonna hear something about that? Maybe we get a CG trailer or announcement. I don't know. I think there's this is exciting. E3 is exciting going up to it. It's always fun, especially just thinking about all the possibilities, just like a Nintendo Direct. But coming from Square, it's definitely there's like you want, especially after they went away for a few years, and they had that press conference. I remember when we talked about all the press conferences that year. We didn't even talk about Square Enix. It was just a nothing thing. It was just like, they had a CG trailer for Kingdom Hearts 3. And that was pretty much it. There wasn't really a lot out of it. There's no news worth talking about. But the fact of bringing it back makes me think, at least if it's not a yearly thing, that at least this year they got to have some big stuff coming out of it. And I wouldn't be surprised if I think it's one of the later ones to go. I think there's like 4 before it. I think there's 7 or 8 now. It makes me wonder if like PlayStation or Microsoft will have something that there's the tease for theirs to kind of build up hype for it. Like, hey, here's a CG trailer for Kingdom Hearts 3 or some gameplay for it. See more at Square Enix tomorrow. One of those type of things. So, I don't know. It could be fun. It could be exciting. The possibilities are endless with them. they're not ones afraid to sink money into shit. I mean, maybe a Final Fantasy 16 or something. I don't know. Maybe it's too soon. Maybe more Final Fantasy 15 news. But speaking of E3, PlayStation, Sean Layden, he's the CEO, Sony Interactive Entertainment of America, came out and said on a podcast, this year's E3 showing will feature exclusive looks and deep dives on 4 big titles from their worldwide studios: Kojima Productions' Death Stranding, Insomniac's Games Marvel's Spider-Man, Naughty Dog's Last of Us Part 2, and Sucker Punch Productions' Ghost of Tsushima. And also he said no new hardware announcements this year at E3. So this is kind of different for them. Usually they tell us nothing about at all. We usually know a couple things we're going to see, but they don't never say anything. But this feels like very much a Nintendo move, where like, hey, here's what you're going to see. They tell you what you're going to see. They tell you what the big thing is going to be. There's always some other stuff you're going to see that's exciting. Like last year, they said Odyssey was going to be the big thing, and it was. But
they did go ahead and announce some like big things of that direct too.
Oh yeah,
with Metroid Prime 4 being one of the lead things
Pokemon.
that surprised everyone.
Yeah, so
Pokemon Switch announcement.
Yeah,
anyway,
this feels like a giant, like this feels like a Nintendo, like almost like their like a Nintendo type of move that, like I was saying, like where it's like, hey, here's what we're focusing on, which is cool because like, all right, cool. Like, I mean, it's the things they announced, like, okay, it makes sense. They're gonna like I think we all knew Spider-Man was gonna be a big part of it, but the fact that they're gonna go exclusive looks and deep dives on, like, especially the two that interest me the most personally are Death Stranding and Last of Us Part 2.
Yes.
But Ghost of Tsushima was announced like last October. And we got like a CG trailer. We got nothing on that, so we might finally see some gameplay and figure out more about it. Other than it's a ninja game. It sounds like an open world ninja game. But like, I'm actually more excited now knowing that we're gonna hear about these games instead of just like getting like, okay, like almost like stressing out, like, are we gonna get fucking Death Stranding, or like, what, are we gonna see something like this? Now that we know, it's kind of a relief a little bit here. Like, hey, we're gonna hear about this. Like, I am even more excited than I was before about this. What about you, Gables?
Yeah, I'm very excited to see what Death Stranding is going to be behold for the gameplay aspect. We've been teased for the last couple of years by Kojima about Death Stranding and the whole concept and the whole things behind this, and then finally seeing something concrete of what the gameplay will be like. I bet it's going to be something that we probably haven't never seen before. It's got that type of mystique about it right now. I'm not surprised we're going to see more of The Last of Us 2, Spider-Man and stuff, and like the Ghost of Tsushima or whatever. But what's going to be interesting is seeing what else they're going to focus on. I mean, you're right in saying this is a Nintendo move because they're announcing what they're going to show. There's going to be obviously some surprising tidbits hidden inside between each of these big old announcements and stuff. And knowing Sony is probably going to be something like an hour and a half or probably a 2-hour freaking press conference later on that, was it, the Monday, Tuesday night?
I think it's Monday night is PlayStation's.
Yeah, Monday night generally is when PlayStation goes and like reveals a lot of their stuff. But it's very exciting. Out of all the conferences, I think I'm the most excited to see what is going to go on for Sony's like press conference because of the uncertainty in regards to a lot of the action and gameplay for like 3 out of the 4 games that they're showcasing.
Yeah. And seems like since we started doing this podcast, every year PlayStation's come out, either we're going into it most excited about and they've stolen the show, or I think really actually every year we've done this podcast, they were like they stole E3, except for last year. Nintendo fucking stole it and they got a pretty tight grip on it after last year. With Pokemon, Metroid Prime 4, Super Mario Odyssey getting revealed. But once again, I'm going in this year most excited about PlayStation and Nintendo. Like, just kind of the, like I said, like Nintendo's are what we can see. We have no really, outside of Smash Brothers, we have no idea what we're going to see from them. Knowing I'm going to see Death Stranding and Last of Us 2 is exciting for PlayStation. Xbox is always a mystery. You never, I mean, there's a thing. They're kind of like, in a lot of ways they're like EA, where like we know we're going to see sports, we're going to see Battlefield, we're going to see the Star Wars game, but then there's always a couple big announcements that come out of it. So yeah, I'm pumped for this. And the more I hear about it now, like the more excited I get for it. So yeah, and the new hardware announcement is very interesting to me. It makes me wonder if there's been the rumors out there about it. It's going to be showing off this year and come out next year. The fact that they're acknowledging it speaks volumes, but I don't know what they're saying. Where it's like, okay, like, is it not coming for a while? Is it coming soon? Are we going to hear about it next year? I think in some ways, I think it was more his way. It could have been very well his way of saying, like, hey guys, we got these great games coming for PS4. Don't worry about PS5 yet. Like, focus on PS4. This thing's still selling hotcakes.
Well,
so
yeah. That doesn't surprise me in a bit because of how big the install base is right now, and plus still, the PS4 is still being remarkably successful in retail. So the only thing that would tell the consumer base otherwise or something like that, if they just announce, oh, hey, we're going to be coming out with this system, and all of a sudden things start to decrease a little bit. I don't think that we're going to be seeing another console revealed by Sony probably until at the earliest, probably next year.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, hopefully not. So I'm hoping earliest 2020. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that he acknowledged that. But finally, on our last topic for the show. We went through this a lot faster than I thought we would. So Walmart Canada very well could have just ruined E3 for everybody and spoiled it. So a bunch of like I don't know how you want to describe it. Basically, like there's links you can go to for a bunch of games. They've since been taken down, but a bunch of box arts popped up for all the consoles for games. There was a couple dozen that popped up. It was like it'd be like WWE 2K19.
Which we would have suspected anyway would be released.
Yeah. So there was most of them were games we already know about or have been announced. But it'd be like they're all like it was like a picture of like the Xbox game packaging with the green on it. It was a black background and it just had the name of the game typed in white printing like WWE 2K19.
Stockholder images.
Yes,
they basically were.
Yeah, so they had like NBA 2K19. Final Fantasy 7 was one of them. But the ones that came out of it, the games that haven't been announced were Splinter Cell, Just Cause 4, Dragon Quest 2. Destiny Comet, which is something we talked about way back when, was the Destiny Comet was the I guess like the prototype name for the big Destiny expansion that might be coming out later this year. Borderlands 3, Assassin's Creed, just called Assassin's Creed, nothing else. Lego DC Villains, Rage 2, Forza Horizon 5, which is interesting because they haven't released Forza Horizon 4 yet, so unless they're skipping it, I don't know. And then last but not least, Gears of War 5. So my question to you is, so like I said, there's multiple dozen games that were announced, but a lot of them were games that have already been, that were put up there, but most of those games have already been announced that are being developed. All of these were never been announced before. My question to you is, do you think this is real?
Let's see. This came from a listing from Walmart of Canada. These were placeholder images and stuff. But honestly, this could also... I mean, even though it does add some bit of credibility to it, being a major retailer site, I mean, in and of itself, that is pretty good evidence to suggest that some of these could be real. But what kind of suggests to me that this should be taken with a grain of salt is some of the obvious cues. Forza Horizon 5, like you said before, the 4th hasn't even come out. So that gives a red flag in and of itself. Another is like a lot of the stockholder images in and of itself are just blank boxes or something like that could with a lot of the names written on it. I mean, yeah, sure, there's placeholder images and stuff for retail websites in terms of like announcements, seeing what games already come out and something like this. But honestly, this could have been faked. It could have been faked. I mean, there's always that possibility that someone just went up there the listings and stuff and all of a sudden just randomly took it down, you know? But, and that's just the thing. What's keeping me from deciding this is 100% fake or something is because this came from an actual Walmart the actual Walmart of Canada's website. A lot of these games we suspected would be revealed at E3 this year. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility that a Gears of War 5 could be announced. It's not out of the realm of possibility that, say, Borderlands 3, we may hear something of it and stuff. But what's the most interesting, and what will be the most telling, is Bethesda. They have an announcement of a game coming Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of interests me that there's a Rage 2, a sequel to a game that received middling reviews back when, had an interesting world, but the graphical premise of it wasn't really up to id standards at the time. So it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see if that game announced Monday happens to be Rage 2. Because if it's not, that would suggest that this listing, this supposed leak, could potentially be fake. But if it is Rage 2, this gives more credibility, and it's more likely that what we see at E3 will be an announcement of a bunch of those games listed on there. Because here's the thing. So we've already known about games like the annual releases of sports games, or like WWE, NBA, this and that. We already know Smash Brothers is going to be front and center for the Nintendo Direct, and in terms of like one of their showcase pieces for Nintendo. So that in of itself has already been established. What has not been established are the games that we've seen that have just remotely been released, or leaked. Mm-hmm. Splinter Cell. I mean, we haven't heard anything from Splinter Cell in quite a while, but there is also evidence to support that could be a showcase too, because a DLC part of Ghost Recon Wildlands actually did include like Sam Fisher of Splinter Cell inside of some of the mission packs and stuff. So, honestly, I'm half and half about this. It's really just on the borderline here. I cannot say any for or against. So what I would say is, let's wait till Monday, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And speaking of the Rage 2 stuff, even Bethesda's Twitter account was having fun with Walmart Canada about their box art.
The old freaking Rage account on Twitter was activated solely after this was announced. This was leaked.
Yeah,
which is hilarious.
And poked fun at the leak. So maybe, I didn't think about that, but maybe you're right. Maybe the Rage, the game that Bethesda's going to announce on Monday, or they're teasing they're going to announce on Monday. Maybe like this leak kind of sped up that, like, hey, we're going to save this for E3, but like, oh, now it's out there. This could be like what I was saying. We were just talking about in the last topic with PlayStation announcing what they're going to talk about. Let's say, hey, let's announce this one of probably our biggest game we got coming out here, and build up hype for our show. For people like, hey, we're going to talk about Rage 2 is happening. Come see, watch us at E3. We'll show you more.
Nice.
I feel like
that'd be nice.
I don't feel like this was like a direct, like, all these things are going to be talked about E3 kind of leak. I feel like all these games, I feel like every game that was shown there is going to happen. The majority of those we already know is going to happen, or they've already, like I said, already been announced. But I feel like Gears of War 5 is a pretty sure bet.
Yes.
Borderlands 3 has officially been announced, but we don't have any, other than the fact we know they were working on it, we don't have any other details on it.
And some little tidbits by Randy Pitchford over the past, like, year and a half or something of that. He's like, oh, here's screenshots of this, what we're in process, and this and that. Just him being himself, pretty much.
Douche. Yeah. So, Lego DC Villains, I guess, has been heavily rumored. I haven't heard anything about it, but I guess it's been heavily rumored for a long time now. A random game called Assassin's Creed. I doubt they're rebooting the franchise after Origins kind of brought them back. But they very well could be. Who knows? I think maybe that just means, like, hey, the next Assassin's Creed game is being worked on. The Forza Horizon 5. Technically, that game, I think Forza Horizon 4 would be coming out this year. So that would be 2 or 3 years out before we even saw that game. So I feel like, and I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about, and he was talking about that when he worked at like IGN and stuff, like GameSpot, like all these news websites, like everybody does, like New York Post, everybody does it. Where like something they know is going to happen, they'll write out the article and they'll wait for the official announcement, or stuff that they just kind of assume that's going to happen. Yep. They'll have the article filled out, ready to go, everything's done, and then all they got to do is wait for the official announcement. Like E3's coming. Like, hey, we know they're going to talk about WWE 2K19. So they'll write up an article about the things, like, just kind of get everything in place. So that way when the game's announced, they can have everything, right, most of it done, ready to go. So it could be the same thing here where, like, they've already, like, typed in all these things and got them ready to go. So when the games are officially announced, all they got to do is put the box art on there, boop, and everything's ready to go, and they can make it live. That sounds like the most real possibility to me. I feel like a lot of these games will probably be announced. If I had to bet money, I would bet more than half of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games on there. I would bet money that more than half of these will be talked about, or announced or whatever. But like I said, that makes the most sense to me. Whereas, like, especially the Forza Horizon 5 thing is the red herring to me on that. And I think it's very simple. As they made all these things that they're unpublished, they weren't live, and then someone hit the wrong button and made all these things live. I think it's as simple as that. But I do feel like they did spoil a lot for E3. Which, on some hands, though, like I said, just like I said in the last topic, like, now we have this out there. They're dangling this carrot now. It's like, okay, like, what's Destiny comment? Okay, I'm actually, like, as much as we bitch about Destiny, like, it's when Destiny's great, Destiny's really, really great. Borderlands 3, okay, I love Borderlands. Gears of War 5, Gears of War 4 was fucking fantastic. And I want to know what they're going to do after that. Rage 2, obviously, like, what's next for that franchise? Splinter Cell, what are they going to do to bring it back? So yeah, it just kind of, in a lot of ways, I'm now more excited. It's just like everything I hear about E3 just makes me more excited about E3. And I forgot about how exciting that is as a gamer. E3 is, and it was just funny. We were talking about it just in the last week's show, where it's like not a lot of news this week, but E3's coming. And I'm sure in the next couple weeks we're gonna have a bunch of news. And it wasn't even a couple weeks; it was like 2 days later. Like Nintendo came out with the no virtual console stuff and the Nintendo Online service and stuff. I'm like, okay, that's a good chunk of a podcast right there. And it's just like it seemed like every time I went to break at work and looked on Twitter, I'm like, oh shit, okay, there's another topic. Oh shit, okay, there's another topic. Oh shit, okay, there's no more news. So then it's only the 12th as of this recording, so we still got almost a month before E3 officially begins. So it's like 4 weeks still. So yeah, it's exciting. It's 4 weeks from the day will be the first E3 press conference. I think EA goes that day, and I think Microsoft might go that day.
On that Sunday, yes.
Well, I think EA is on Saturday now.
Okay, EA's on Saturday, and then Microsoft's the next day. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember, but I think Microsoft actually went to Saturday now this year. I can't remember.
Oh shit.
Either Saturday or Sunday this year. So yeah, it's exciting. I'm sure we're gonna hear more and more as we get closer, and we'll talk about them obviously as they happen. But yeah, that was week 1 of the E3 craziness. It's not even E3 yet. We've got a month to go. So we'll hear a lot more, I'm sure, till then. But I think that's probably going to wrap up everything for the show this week. Sorry we didn't get to what we've been playing, but this stuff kind of took precedent over all that. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. If you want to hear more from us, we have a Facebook page and group, Drunk Dashers Podcast. Like and join us on there. Twitter @DrunkNerdsPod. Follow us on there. On iTunes, Drunk Nerds Podcast, Drunk Dashers Podcast. Subscribe to us on there. Please leave us a 5-star review, please. More people that leave reviews, more people that can see us on there. YouTube, Drunk Nerds Podcast. Subscribe and give us a big thumbs up for our podcast. That helps us out as well. And then I think, Twitch, Drunk Nerds Podcast. Follow us on there, please, and give us a friend request. We like friends. Friends are good. So I think that covers everything. I think I got everything. I was your host. I was Tyler.
And I have been Colonel Gables. So until next week, everyone, I hope you have yourself a good week. Hope you have a lot of good gaming time. And above all else, make sure to sit yourself down and just listen to a good old-fashioned episode of the Drunk Dash Nerds podcast.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, Gables.
Yeah.
Too sweet.
Too sweet, man. And we're out.
Boys.